Mr. Chairman, I think I had a chance to personally witness, to personally welcome most of you earlier this morning before the hearing started. But again, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I represent Delaware. I've been privileged to be their treasurer, congressman, governor, and senator. And came here. I went to Delaware right after the end of the Vietnam War, and moved there. And but I grew up in West Virginia. My sister and I were born in a place called Beckley, West Virginia, coal mining town. And all of our aunts and uncles, our grandparents, one of our great-great-great-great-grandfathers was a founder of Raleigh County, co-founder of Raleigh County, West Virginia, which is a big coal community. Some of our neighbors in West Virginia when I was a little boy, and when I go back and visit our grandparents and all, they're coal miners. And we had they were friends. And there's also a church that very close to where our grandparents lived that my mother would take my sister and me to go to church as we were little kids, and then later on in life. We actually went back there at a family reunion last year. Our whole family went back. There were more people there at that church that day from my family than there were regular members of the church, which is pretty amazing. But one of the things my mom wanted to drill into my sister and me as we're kids growing up is an obligation we have a moral obligation to treat other people the way we want to be treated. We call it the golden rule. And it's not just a golden rule in West Virginia or the United States, it's in every major religion in the world. We have an obligation to put ourselves in other people's shoes and think about how we would want to be treated if we were them. And with that as a backdrop, before our time expires, I would just want to say I'm delighted that today's hearing is focused on the impact of the clean energy tax incentives that we included in the Inflation Reduction Act. And it's an achievement that was only possible thanks to the hard work of this committee and its leadership. One important goal, as you know, of the Inflation Reduction Act is making sure we don't leave any communities behind as we transition to cleaner energy, including coal mining towns like the one that I was born, my sister and I were born in, and other communities that rely on fossil fuels for jobs and economic prosperity. I just came from a meeting of the leadership of the Environment and Public Works Committee, leadership of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, as we're focused on permitting reform, an important conversation that we just concluded. And one of the things we discussed at that hearing, at that informal meeting, was whether or not we can address climate crisis, make sure we create good-paying jobs, clean energy jobs, and leave no community behind in the process while providing certainty and predictability for the business community. That's what that's our goal. And I think it's a good goal, and I think we can do all that when we need to. And part of it depends on the goodwill of the leaders of those committees, in this committee. Question for Dr. Harris, if I can, and Mrs. Horvitich, is that close enough? Good. How are some of the tax incentives in the IRA promoting job creation and growth in parts of the country that have historically relied on fossil fuel industry for economic prosperity?
Senator, we have received an increase in inquiries of companies looking at our region because of just exactly what you said. I do want to just add what you were saying about the coal communities. I had the opportunity to go into a coal mine when I first entered the profession. I was told if you're going to represent southwestern Pennsylvania, you have to go down there and see what coal mining is all about. So I very much appreciate that these job opportunities using other technologies will give an advantage, will be given to these coal communities who are feeling it the hardest.
All right, thank you. Same question, Dr. Harris.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the IRA has a number of incentives that are doing exactly that. There's the 48C tax credit set aside. There's the energy communities bonus. And we're seeing the real effects, as Ms. Horvitich is saying already. I would also say that there's a couple of other items in the bill, some of which are in this committee's purview, but some aren't, that are helpful. There's an investment in the rural utility service, for example, that I think will be really helpful to coal communities.
Thank you. For both of you, how would our climate goals and economic growth be impacted if our investments in the Inflation Reduction Act were repealed? Same two ladies, yes, please.
I can answer that by talking about some of the companies who are looking at our regions to explore new technologies. where they haven't been fully developed yet, but they're looking at building pilot plants and then advancing them to demonstration plants and then on to full-scale commercialization, where they're able to prove these new technologies and then yield the results of the jobs and the revenue.
Good. Dr. Harris, could you briefly respond to that same question, please? Thank you.
Yes, I think jobs for these communities are the thing I would lift up the most.
All right. Thank you both very much.